Hey guys, so as promised, I'm going to be doing a full tutorial series on how to model this Fanatec DD1, DD2, the wheelbase side of the quick disconnect for the Fanatec direct drive wheels. Not too complex of a part, not an easy part, especially this nut was kind of a really non-standard thing to create, so it was kind of fun. But other than that, not too difficult. I wanted to release a video real quick just before I leave out for Charlotte because I'm going to the Roval race at Charlotte, so should be fun, but means this weekend I can't work on these videos. So what I can do is release a quick video and maybe get you interested enough to download Fusion 360 and start playing around with it, which is the goal. I mean, I think everyone should at least give it a shot. It's very powerful, very easy to use and easy to learn. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to PM me on Facebook or message me on YouTube, whatever. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the fact that including Fusion 360, you can import almost anything from the McMaster car catalog. I say almost anything, like there's certain weird things, like an entire generator, certain just odds and ends you cannot import because they don't have 3D models for them. But for the most part, almost everything in that gigantic catalog that you can get at the store, you can import into Fusion 360 and work with it. So, for instance, like this screw, I personally don't want to spend the time to model every single fastener, every nut, every bolt, everything in the design. It's just a waste of time, and somebody has already done that, thankfully. So it's quite easy to import things from the McMaster car catalog excuse me, into Fusion 360. So I'm going to start a new design so we don't have all that previous timeline and the model to contend with. So from a fresh design, go to Insert McMaster car components, and here you go. You've got access to something like 500,000 parts. I don't know what percentage of them are modeled, but a large percent are. Almost all the fasteners, and some other stuff I'll cover later in the video. But let's go ahead, and one of the collar here, the collar on this quick disconnect is a two-piece aluminum collar. It's threaded and has a hole for a screw on both sides. So the screw, I measured it. I know it's an M6 screw, 22 millimeters long. So I needed to, for instance, import it into my design. Because like I said, I'm not going to model it. I just want to import it quickly, throw it in there, and make it look good. So we're going to go to Insert McMaster car component. I've already done this, so I'm going to zoom right to it. Screws and bolts. It's a socket head screw, regular old socket head screw. It's going to be an alloy screw, alloy construction. I know it's fully threaded, but you can choose other options, and namely here partially threaded. So fully threaded. We know we can type in here in the length. We know it was 22 millimeters long. So that narrows things down quite a bit. It's only showing the M6. It's only showing the screws that are 22 millimeters long. Somewhere in here we've got thread pitch. I know it's a 1 millimeter thread pitch screw. I measured it with a thread pitch gauge. And most of the screws you're going to be getting from here are going to be a coarse thread, which is a 1 millimeter thread pitch. Excuse me again. That narrows us down to two choices. We've got a black oxide screw or a blue dyed screw. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. From here, once you've got your part picked out, you found your part, you know exactly what you need. It's a M6 screw, 1 millimeter thread pitch, 22 millimeters long. Click on the product number, and then go to product detail. From here, you can have one last chance to check dimensions, 22 millimeter long, M6, It's an M6 by 1mm thread. Great, we know that's the right screw. Then we'll scroll just below the dimensions of the part, or the component, and hit this drop down. This drop down is going to have a bunch of export options. The one we want to select is 3D step. So select 3D step, say save, and there it is. Now if you've got your dimensions correct for everything else in your model, like I have here, everything is dimensioned to spec, the same as I've got it on my rig over here. Now, some parts you don't have the luxury of having in your hand to actually measure them with a caliper. This one said, obviously I do. So I know all the dimensions are correct. And I had physical access to the screw, so I knew exactly what screw I needed to find. So anyway, here's that screw. It's M6, exactly what we need. Now, here's where I think I'm going to get a lot of people to pique a lot of people's interest and get at least a couple of you to download Fusion 360 after you see this video. So remember I said that you can get almost anything in the McMaster car catalog and import it into Fusion. Well, that applies to aluminum extrusion. So all you guys that are asking about rig builds and how tough it is or how easy it is to design your own, you don't have to do it on a pad of paper. You can go into Fusion, you can insert a McMaster car component or part. I'm not going to spend too much time picking. We'll just say whatever, double, hollow. The length of it doesn't really matter. We'll just say 6 feet. And I'll explain that in a second, why the length doesn't matter. Say product details, just like we did with the screw. Scroll down to the bottom. Export is a 3D step file. And there you go. You've got a perfectly dimensioned, ready to model, ready to change the length of aluminum extrusion. So this is how I designed my rig. I designed it all in Fusion 360, and I didn't have any problems with dimensioning or lengths. I measured once and I cut once, so it was definitely a big help to be able to model it in 3D first, and not hard at all, not difficult at all. So once you have the aluminum extrusion, you're obviously going to need more than one. So you can click on it, you can Control C for copy. Now if you just hit Control V for paste, it will paste another extrusion, but check this out. See how they have the same color over here. They're tagged with the same color. So when I go to edit the dimensions of one, it's going to edit the dimensions of both. And you may want that, you may not want that. You're probably not going to want that. So let's go ahead and undo that. So now we've got only one of the blue components. Now this time, I'm going to do a copy, and I'm going to do a paste new, which will paste in an entirely new component. So let's go ahead and paste that in. Great. Now you can see if we change the dimensions of one, it's not going to affect the other. So you can choose whichever you want to do. If you want to, for some reason, have a bunch of them that you can change and edit all at once, great. If not, right click and paste new. Now you can also expand one of those aluminum extrusions, go to bodies, and you can Control C, copy the body, make sure that body container is selected, and you can do a Control V from there. And I believe, since there are two bodies inside the same component, we can change one and it won't affect the other. So you can either have a component for each piece of extrusion, or you can have one extrusion component with multiple bodies inside. You can play around with that and, see what works best for you. So just to recap, we went to insert McMaster car components, select whatever part you need. I wonder if this rivet tool is modeled. Let's select that. I doubt it is. This is one of those things where you can almost bet it's not going to be modeled, because you're not going to use the 3D model of a rivet tool inside Fusion 360. It's not. It's not. Oh, one way to tell. I forgot. One way to tell. So let's say rivet installation tool. If you go to the part and you expand it, look at product detail. This does not have the little 3D CAD icon. Conversely, if we went to a screw, just selected a random screw, fully threaded, sure, whatever. Random screw. This one does have that CAD icon. So you can tell at a glance right away once you see the part or component, fixture, whatever. If it has that 3D CAD icon, it's got a 3D model in Fusion that you can import and play around with. So I hope this was useful. I hope seeing that you can import stuff like fasteners and aluminum extrusion into Fusion and play around with it. I hope that piques your interest to actually download Fusion and start playing around with it. And then I think maybe when I get back from Charlotte from the Roval race, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, you can expect the first video in this tutorial series, which will be modeling the main portion of this. Let's see, hide that nut, hide that collar. I'll be modeling this guy. So, yep, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you download Fusion 360 and play around with it. And good night.